Right, Sandra, you wanted to see me to get some feedback on your group's proposal. The one you are submitting for the Geography Society field trip competition. I have had to look through your proposal and I think it's a really good choice. In fact, I only have a few things to say about it. But even in an outline document like this, you really have to be careful to avoid typos and problems with layout in proposal. And even in content space, you read it through carefully before submitting it, okay? We rule. And I will make a few notes on the proposal about things which could have been better sequenced. Okay. As for the writing itself, I will annotate this proposal as and where I thought it could be improved. Generally speaking, I feel you are often use complex structures and long sentences for the sake of it, and as a consequence, although the paragraphing and inclusion of subheading help, it's quite hard to follow the chain of thought as time. So cut them down a piece, can you? Really? Yes. And don't forget simple formatting like numbering. Didn't I use bad numbers? I just mean that. Look, you will remember to include header and footer, which is good, but listing idea clearly is important. Numbering or use bullet points which even clear. Then you focus the reader on your main points. I thought your suggestion to go to the Navajo tribal park was a very good idea. I've always wanted to go there. My father were great fan of cowboy films and the Wild West, so I was subjected to seeing all the epics, many of which were shot there. As a consequence, it feels very familiar to me, and it's awesome both geographically and visually. So it's somewhere I always wanted to visit. The subsequent research ideas and the online photographs makes me even keener. Interesting. Right, let's look at the content of the proposals now. Did you find it comprehensive now? Did you find it comprehensive enough? Well, yes and no. You listed several different topics on your consent page, but I'm not sure they are all irrelevant. Now, well, I thought that from the perspective of field trip, one thing I need to focus on was Xantho Plateau and Xantho Plateau and cliff themselves. The way they tore up from the flat landscape is just amazing. The fact that surrounding sulfur rock were eroded by wind and rain, leaving the hill across high above the plain. It's hardly surprising that tourists flock to see the area. Well, that I agree would include in those points. And then the fact that it's been home to Native American Navajo and all the social history that goes with that. The hardship they endured trying to save the territory from the invading shelters. That culture is so rich. All the wonderful stories. Well, I agree it's interesting, but it's not immediately relevant to your proposal, Sandra. So at this stage, I suggest you focus on other considerations. I think an indication of what the students on the ship could actually do when they get there should be far more central. So that certainly needs to be included and to be expanded upon. And I'd like to see something about the local wildlife and vegetation too. Not just amazing, there is much to see. Presumably, the Soviet invasion hasn't helped. Okay, I'll do some work on those two areas as well. But you're right, they are not too much apart from some very shallow, some very shallow roster species. Although it's cold and snowy there in winter, the earth is baked so hard in the summer sun that rainwater can penetrate. So it's case of fruit or rock really. So I understand now. Before we look at everything in more detail, I've got a few factual questions for you. It could be a good idea to include the answer in your finished proposal because they are missing from your draft file. So you mentioned the monolith and spire, which was good. But what area? But what area does the travel park have? Do you know? 12,000 hectares, and the plain is about 5,850 meters above sea level, larger than I expected. Okay, where is the nearest accommodation? That is practical. That is practical details that you haven't included. Have you done any research on that? That there is nowhere to stay in the park itself, but there is an old trading post called Gluten quite near. What kind of tours start from Gluten too? What kind of tours? Well, the most popular are in four-wheel drive jets, but I wouldn't recommend hiring those. I think the best way to appreciate the area would be to hire horses instead and check around on Joe. Biking is not allowed, and it's impossible to ride around the area in private vehicle. The sharks are too rough. Okay, lastly, what else is worth visiting there? There are several caves, but I have looked into any details. I'll find out about them. Okay, good. Now, what I'd like to know is